Daniel Ricciardo will be leaving McLaren at the end of this year after struggling to live up to expectations since his arrival. Axed McLaren driver Daniel Ricciardo has received some sympathy from grid rival Carlos Sainz, who says he rates the Australian super highly. Ricciardo has been left without an F1 seat for next year after McLaren terminated his 3-year contract early. The Australian has had a respectable career in F1, winning 8 races in the last 11 years. Despite winning at the Italian Grand Prix last season, a poor start to this year's campaign resulted in crunch talks with McLaren and him being replaced next season by Oscar Piastri for 2023. Sainz was replaced by Ricciardo at McLaren when he went to Ferrari. Ian has now said he has sympathy with the Australian. He feels that drivers are judged by their last race in the brutal world of F1. I feel for Daniel because I know how good he is, said Sainz to motorsport.com. I always rated him super highly. He found himself in a car and at a team that maybe he didn't find himself comfortable at, and that's enough for your career to start going through a different path. You're always as good as your last race, unfortunately, in this sport. If that gets amplified to a season, then you're only as good as your last season, and that's why Daniel is in such a difficult situation. Haas and Williams still have seats open for next season, but Ricciardo says he is taking a year out and hopes that an opportunity opens up to race at a leading constructor. Sainz said after a year out the sport people will quickly forget the struggles Ricciardo has endured at McLaren. He might take a year off, he might not, added Sainz. But if he comes back in 2 years and he wins a race, no one remembers the 2 years with McLaren. This is why in F1 you always need to focus on the next race, because in the next race you can change everyone's impression. Every driver knows this, because it happens to all of us in a lower scale at every race. No one remembers your good days, it only counts if you are half a second off in the last qualifying or the last season. And there's nothing we can do about it. It's how the sport rates us, it is how the sport treats us, that is why the highs are so high. When you win, you're a hero, your best weekend, and you're the best driver in the world. No one is better than you. But then, when you are through a bad moment, it's a sport that is very tough.